I came to know for myself that Jesus Christ was born of the Virgin Mary, who was a precious and chosen vessel.
Travis went good so. So it's Mother's Day, so obviously we have to talk about sex. Denialists are pure evil. They purposely, maliciously lie in an attempt to get people to believe their lies. Whether they're trying to convince somebody that something is actually true, or whether they're bullying somebody, threatening them to believe something as true, which of course are all lies. This is a denialist bullying. And it's a pure evil practice, and we're just not punishing such denialists in our society. We've allowed them to get away with their bullying, and thus they get worse, to the point where they threaten to overthrow America. That's why they're so evil. But imagine for a moment, as it is Mother's Day, that you are one of the early Mormons. Remove everything you currently know about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Go back to the beginning. Can you do it? Probably not. You're going to throw in anachronisms, which are a type of denialist tactic. But there's a general conference of the church that is held after Joseph Smith is dead. And Lucy Mack is one of the speakers. She's having to talk about her son. And she does not go with Brigham Young. I never understood that as a kid. And my seminary teachers and other adult Mormons were telling me as a kid that she was apostate. That Emma Smith was apostate, refusing to go with Brigham Young to this valley. And that didn't sit right with me. There's something wrong about that kind of thinking. Because both of them were involved with Joseph Smith from the very beginning. They never abandoned Joseph Smith. And for them not to go with Brigham Young had really stuck in my mind this whole time. I could not reconcile it with the claims that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints was making. But then you have Sidney Rigdon, who gets up and speaks also. And he says he doesn't want to be the leader of the church. He just wants to be a guardian until the future time when the Christ would take over the church. And let's say, for instance, that you decided, or that you learned that Mormonism Unveiled, published in 1834, I think. You've read it, and you are aware of the accusation that Sidney Rigdon is the major author of the Book of Mormon. But you still stuck in the church. You have no way of knowing. Sidney Rigdon doesn't come out and confess. It's just somebody makes an accusation, and you're already a Mormon, and so it's, it's like an anti-Mormon, anti-Christ Korahor. You don't want to believe that that would be the case, but you are familiar with it. And then you realize Sidney Rigdon does not go to this valley either. He goes on to do his own preaching again, as he was doing before he joined the church. And you may be aware that he joined in, November of 1830, and then was put right to work on the revision of the Bible, which was exactly what he had wanted to do under Alexander Campbell of the Campbellites, but Campbell said no. He only wanted to revise the New Testament. And so now Sidney Rigdon is able to do all of the things he wanted to do and the changes that he wanted to make concerning sacrament and baptism and laying on of hands that were unique from his Baptist Campbellite origins. And all of a sudden he joins the church, and it's there in the Book of Mormon, and he gets to do it. And you might be aware that Parley P. Pratt was the one who, in Palmyra, was it, obtained the Book of Mormon and read it overnight, as the church's video tells us, and then rushes back to Sidney Rigdon and the congregation of Sidney Rigdon, and then they all join. There was a mass conversion into Joseph Smith's new church that first year. And so, it's weird of such a setup, because you may not be aware, because it was through linguistic science not too many years ago that they found that Parley P. Pratt also has a token plagiarism in the Book of Mormon. He was part of Sidney's congregation. You as a Mormon, you're witnessing all that's going on. And then you hear Brigham Young get up. Are you going to claim that you'd be the one who is going to write in his journal in this valley talking about that speech over a decade later, saying that you saw Brigham Young transform into the appearance of Joseph Smith, and you knew with the burning in your boobs that he was to be the successor? He's calling the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. You as a Mormon knew, at least before 1838, that was not the name of the church, unless you were baptized by Brigham Young or one of Brigham Young's converts. And then you were told it was the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And whether or not you read Joseph Smith's 1842 history, from 1838, after Joseph supposedly, but you don't have that section in the Doctrine and Covenants. You just heard the rumors, because section 115 would not get published by Brigham Young until the year before he dies, in 1876. And so it's all just word of mouth. It's not in the Doctrine and Covenants. And then you hear that Joseph Smith apparently had instituted the restoration of polygamy, but you're still looking at reading the Doctrine and Covenants of 1835 that says that monogamy, on Mother's Day, the cyber attacks are going. Aren't you supposed to be with your mother? Isn't she just upstairs? Come on, guys. I mean, yeah, it's 6 in the morning still, but what are you doing up? Shouldn't you be making your mother breakfast? After all, she's letting you stay in the basement. God. And so, yeah, you're kind of confused and concerned. Brigham Young and his his converts are all claiming, well, yeah, Danites, they're called Danites. They claimed Joseph Smith was the leader of the Danites in 1838, and that's where all of the changes took place. See, you don't find these in Scripture. They're not in Scripture yet. This is what you're being told. But it's not in the 1835 Doctrine and Covenants. But you're being told that this is Joseph Smith's new religion now. And the 1844 Doctrine and Covenants that Brigham Young would go on to produce after the conference, it only contains the addition of section 119 about priestcraft, which is concerning, right? Because the Book of Mormon says no. And now Joseph is dead, and Brigham Young publishes a new Doctrine and Covenants with a brand new section that goes against the Book of Mormon. And so, why then would you think that Brigham Young has authority to lead the church? Because again, it's not in the Doctrine and Covenants. We need to add that, don't we? Nope. President of the 12 to succeed President of the church. I got it. It's third from the bottom there. Okay. But it's not in the Doctrine and Covenants. Nowhere. Joseph makes it very clear. Nobody else has the gifts or the titles. And the practice of the church was such that it was very clear that nobody else had those gifts and titles. Everybody had their own priesthood responsibilities. And so what would make you think that Brigham Young is the authorized successor? See, now, yeah, well, you were born and raised in the covenant of Brigham Young's branch off, because that's what this is. It's not a succession. Again, find it in Scripture where Brigham Young's supposed to be the authorized successor. You can't find it. It's not there. If you claim you're finding it, you're trying to be a denialist as an illiterate person. You're not reading it correctly. You're not interpreting it correctly. Read. Use your English grammar understanding. Don't go by what other people have been telling you. Because that's why those who went with Brigham. Because of what people were telling them. And so if you're doing that now, you'd be one who'd do that then. Because now all of a sudden Brigham Young is saying it's Christian. That Jesus is the Christ. That Jesus is in the name of the church. But there is no evidence in the texts that are available for Mormons. Because the Times and Seasons 1842 history is not what we read it as. There are some differences, some crucial differences. And Mormons today don't have those differences unless they make the extra effort on their part to go to the Joseph Smith papers. That's the only difference. Is that when I grew up, I didn't have any of that available for me. I had the altered documents that was backed up with what everybody was claiming. I knew nothing of any of this. There were rumors that such was the case, but again, where's the document? How do we know it's authoritative? Is it just from somebody's journal? Because you got all these other people's journals that say that Joseph Smith made all the changes. No, it's not just out of the mouth of 2 or 3 accusations. It's supposed to be people who have actually physically witnessed. And it's supposed to support the evidence, not all by themselves as evidence. So bumper coach with an entertainment picture of a guy in a suit, clean cut. So I'm sure that this is a real person whose name is Bumper. On my video, Super Sacred Secret Heavenly Mother in Underground Mormonism, prior to Mother's Day. This was a Jasmine comment reply video. And if you notice, there's strange looking creatures on the thumbnail. And then off to the left, Genesis 1, Genesis 2, Genesis 3, Genesis 4, in order. Interesting. You do know Genesis comes from the Bible, don't you? Have you ever read them? Have you not been following me? Do you not understand what I'm doing? Have you never gone to my homepage to see the About feature? Have you never read the Book of Mormon? The learning of the Jews in the language of the who? The Egyptians. Why are you denying the Book of Mormon? Why do you think that you're going to trick me into denying the Book of Mormon? This is what all Mormons do when they say Jesus is the Christ. And, well, see, it's on the cover, another testament of Jesus Christ. Just like in the name. See, it's right there in the middle of the name. Again, you're pulling an anachronism. You're being a denialist. You're showing that you're illiterate, maliciously trying to deceive other people. And so Bumper, not to be confused with Thumper, says, why would you assume? Oh, a denialist tactic. Demoting my knowledge down to an opinion. They love to pull that distraction diversion. Because then I'd go, I don't assume. And then we're not talking about the issue anymore. God only has one wife. What are you talking about? Do you not understand that's Egyptian? That comes from the Egyptian theology. Are you now trying to deny Egyptian? This bumper guy is pure evil, and he's hiding behind a fake identity. This is all crap. And so he's wanting to assume polygamy in this. And his logical construction is crap. He fails to do so correctly. And so it's not worth my time to go on any further. So, now to Jasmine, who's figured it out. She doesn't know she's figured it out. I had to tell her in the last video I did. As missionaries, we're supposed to help others feel and recognize the Spirit. But Mormons in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints tell investigators to pray to get the right feeling. That you read another testament of Jesus Christ and pray to get the right feeling. Study and research to identify contradictions are not in the equation. The missionaries don't do it. Why would they expect you to do it? And again, remember, we are not in Joseph Smith's day anymore. We're in Brigham Young's branch off that is the only organization that is using all of this to blame Joseph for. Nobody else. Just Brigham Young, because it was his people who have made the accusations. And so again, what makes you think that they're right? Well, because there's more than 2 and 3? This is the whole point, that we're supposed to study. That when we have a contradicting seed, like in the word unto a seed, Book of Mormon says no priestcraft. Section 119, priestcraft. Oh no, which is true? They're both in our church. They both can't be practiced at the same time. It's either the one or the other. And the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, prophets, tell you to choose, get the right feeling for Section 119. Not the Book of Mormon. That you're supposed to plug in Section 119 in the Book of Mormon and replace it. Thus solves the problem. And you're that stupid, are you? Or are you joining the Mormon QAnon? Yeah, QAnon got it from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And Star Trek Next Generation. And people are easily fooled to be malicious, to go around and gaslight and be denialist to other people. And now they're overthrowing the government. And so in the video, it's Idaho Mormon women secretly committing murder in underground Utah. This was a news story, not a church news, an actual news story. It's Fox 13 News Utah there in the thumbnail picture. OBGYNs only exist on SNL now. It was last week's, not this morning's. Or last night's. lost it when he was licking his fingers. But Idaho passed a law that punishes medical doctors. And so medical doctors had to flee for their lives. There are no OBGYNs in Idaho. And on top of that, there's a doctor crisis and a nurse crisis in Idaho. If you want medical care as a woman in Idaho, you can't get it. And thus they're sneaking over the border to Utah. But Utah doesn't allow abortions. And so they're finding medical doctors that are violating Utah law. This is the hatred of the church. These are Mormons under orders of the church. Why are you Mormon? Lucy Mack and Emma Smith did not go with Brigham Young. And then you're saying, well, Hiram's wife went. Do you know why? Because it's in the Book of Mormon why. 2 Nephi chapter 3, specifically verse 5 to help you out. And then what should have been footnoted for you to also go to, section 103, verse 16. That's why. Make you look it up. And if you're a Mormon denialist, you're not listening to this video anyway. But you'd never look it up anyway. Because you're a denialist. You're not listening. You can't hear me. You can't see me. And so, Jasmine gets it. She studies. And in the course of studying and doing research, you get inspiration. And it's in the beginning stages for Jasmine. Because she's getting questions in her mind as to what to study next, to what to check on with what she just read. This is where her intelligence shines. This is what missionaries are supposed to see from investigators. Jasmine is an investigator. She just doesn't investigate with the assistance of the missionaries. It's me. And she did it. I am the master missionary. She has now been studying the Book of Mormon to the point where she now feels the Spirit. And so I'm helping her to recognize it with these videos. Hi, Jasmine. Thanks for the picture again. So cute. And so, yeah, Jasmine's already going. And so, just like Alma, chapter 32, starting in verse 28, she's got to keep going. Can't stop now. Ain't no stopping us now. Ain't no stopping us now. Stopping us now. The theme song in the description below. And so, yeah, I am excited when Jasmine comments, because it's based on her inspiration. And so, because of her inspiration, it's going to inspire me. And so, I already know in advance, because I saw the name, you're going to get exclusive material from me, thanks again to Jasmine, because she's studying and getting inspired. The real burning in the boobs from studying is increasing her breast size. Not too dissimilar from when a woman gets impregnated. The same pattern. There is a symbolic pattern in our human bodies. Jasmine is awesome. And so here we go. Good afternoon, Travis. It's my female study day, so be warned. I'm excited. I'm so excited, and I just can't hide it. I'm about to lose control, and I think I like it. I read the Book of Ruth last night. Yep. Ruth. Anybody know the Paleo-Hebrew spelling? You don't know, you're not following. Oh. Again, let me remind those of you who are illiterate and denialists of the Book of Mormon. The learning of the Jews, the language of the who? Egyptians. Now, the 18th dynasty's deity, of which the pharaohs took the name and were considered the son of, was Amun. Yeah, the Amun priesthood. The god Amun. In Canaanite, God is El. So Amun-El. Sounds a lot like Isaiah saying that the name of our Christ, or at least the Jewish Christ, not the Christian one, because Christians claim it's Jesus, is Emmanuel. Oh, look at the Paleo-Hebrew spelling. Amazing. Yeah. But the 18th dynasty did not last too much longer, as they were replaced with the 19th dynasty, the Ra Moseses, rather than the David Moseses of the 18th dynasty. Ra is the sun for the whole day. Amun is the sun god at noonday. So go to your first vision, go to your second vision, go to Lehi's second vision, which is the exact same pattern match as Joseph Smith's second vision, and then go throughout the scriptures. The Most High what? Is he on drugs? Son, Amun, Emmanuel, the Jewish Christ. And so Ra is the one who transforms into the bad guy. And there was a pattern of practice among the Egyptians that the deity names had wives, and their wife, to be distinguished from the husbands, were given the female singular ending, which was T, with the Rosetta Stone, learning of the Greeks' language of the Egyptians. But it's the same symbol. It's just the Greeks, through Jean Champollion, designated as the T sound. And so thus Peter is Seer in Egyptian. And so the wife's name is the same name as the husband's name, just with the female ending. So Ra, as an anthropomorphized male deity, his wife then would be Ruth. Ta-da! This is the context in which you need to understand the Book of Ruth. If you were to Google search the baby name meaning of Ruth, you'd see friend. That's wrong. It's the wife of Ra, the female form of Ra, the sun, throughout the whole day of the Egyptians. And Boaz is what the story is about, because women have to have a husband and produce offspring. Seed, egg, baby. It's kind of essential because that's how the Jews understand the coming of their latter-day Christ. He's not the sun god of outer space who comes to the queen of Egypt into her chambers to give birth to Sun Ra, or Sun Amun. Anybody know that in your Doctrine and Covenants? There are two in which he's referred to as Sun Amun, because the Egyptian stories are not literal histories. Not even Christians would make that claim, even though they do it to the Bible. Dumbasses all. And so, Elimelech, anybody know what it is in Paleo-Hebrew? There's El, God, and it's in the prefix position. And then Melech sounds similar to Melchizedek, if you butcher the phonemes. Yeah, Melech, king, the God king. And his family go to Moab, Utah. Bruce Armaconkey did the chapter headings. Why would he lie? Moab, Utah, there it is. Chapter 1, Book of Ruth. Hello? Are you going to deny this? It's right there. M-O-A-B. Moab, Utah. Hello? Because of famine. Hey, this is a familiar theme in the Bible stories. Marriages, death of father and sons, Ruth the Moabitess. Is that what women are called if they're from Moab? So if you're from Salt Lake City, you're Salt Lake City-itis. Sounds like a disease. West Valley-itis. Heberitis, Bountifulitis, her husband having died. Aha! See, you need to know the ancient practice of the Roman period time. Because that's when the author wrote it. Remains constant to Naomi. They come to Bethlehem. Is this the birth of Jesus? It's the learning of the Jews. It's not literal history. Thus you're going to see pattern matches. See how Jasmine is inspired here? She doesn't know it yet, but this is what the Spirit is leading her to Ruth for. That's why she needs to keep on going and increase the size of her breasts. or the double D's of David. The whole Bible is sexual. All of scriptures are sexual because it's about seed, egg, baby. And look, it's in Utah too. Bethlehem, Judah. There it is. Verse 1. When the Danites ruled. Let's go to the biblical Hebrew text for that discussion. Make sure that it is. Because Samson is a Danite as part of the prophecy. And you did go to section 103, verse 16, right? 2 Nephi, chapter 3, verse 5. This is why Hiram's wife went with Brigham. Oh, nope, they use the other word for judges. Bummer. They don't even use Danites. Yeah, they don't use Dan. It's the Shephet. Right? Chapter 1. Yeah. And they repeat it twice for ruled. It's not translated correctly. If we were to do a literal translation, it would be the judge of the judges. But what is Ruab? That's got raw in it. Is that famine? Interesting. Yeah, famine has the word raw. Sun, famine, drying up the land, burning up the crops, has the sun in the name of famine. Awesome. But it's the first two letters, which is interesting, because this would suggest Aramaic rather than Paleo-Hebrew. Did the decipherment. I know what I'm talking about. And there's Utah. Bethlehem of Utah. Yep. Do you believe Joseph Smith is a prophet? Or do you deny that Joseph Smith is a prophet? Denying the power of prophecy and revelation. So, yeah, fun. Alright, so what was Moab? Ooh. It has father in the Paleo-Hebrew version. See, otherwise it would be Ma, and then the B, similar to famine, with the B at the end. So yeah, you got to be consistent. You can't mix up the words from different languages, which is what the biblical Hebrew text did. So thus you got to scrap all of this, go to the original script, and then run the translation test using only one linguistic pattern, because that is wrong. But nonetheless, you can learn Paleo-Hebrew, Aramaic vocabulary with actual text documents. But you need to be consistent if you're going to get the translation correct. Alright? So yeah, cool stuff. And so yeah, because she's now widowed, she needs a man to take care of her, and so thus Boaz is the one responsible to take care of her, and she goes to Boaz, as is required in the law. And so even though her name is the enemy wife, who usurped the religion of Ammon, did you go to 2 Nephi chapter 3, verse 5? Do you understand what it means? Or are you going to be a denialist? So, yeah, lots of fun stuff in Ruth. My takeaway from that was it's about sex. Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Yeah, everything's about sex, Jasmine. Everything. Every single passage is about sex. That's what the Spirit is leading her into. To increase her breast size. Hilarious. So hilarious, Jasmine. According to the Bible, Naomi instructs Ruth to meet Boaz. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, indeed. And so that is, yeah, she kinsman of her husband's. You mean brother? Because that would be the law. The brother would have to take care of it, but in this case, she's getting the uncle to take care of Ruth, because most likely Ruth's husband did not have a brother to take care of her, and so thus going to the living relative, which would be Naomi, to hook her up, to take care of her. Going to my daughter. I think if I remember the story correctly, Boaz was not too willing, but he was kind to her. And so Ruth then had to do the official ceremonial spreading of her garment before him, which means do me now. Which is a practice that the church condemns. So say you're in the singles ward in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. The practice, according to the Bible story here, is that you go on a date with several different women until one of them has a special date with you in which she then wears a special nightie, and when she lays it at your feet, and then you consummate your union to indicate that you are now engaged to each other. And the wedding should be somewhat soon thereafter, because babies come. And oh, Jasmine, you did it again. Oh, the end of barley harvest. We just had the end of barley harvest. Oh, Jasmine. I just talked about this yesterday at the end of my video. IR. Yeah, we're still in the barley harvest for the Jews. It's and the 26th, Monday, which is the 3rd of June, is a potential day that shall burn as an oven. Because barley harvest, after you're done, you burn the fields. And thus bonfires are used for the Jews. But it's the 28th when the bonfire is. I think. Yeah. Where is that? Here it is. Yeah, 26th of May, not the 28th. 28th is a different day in the Jewish calendar understanding. Yeah. There's a sign in the heavens. Yeah. Because it's the month of light, Illuminati. Remember, they replace things. Because that's what we're talking about here, Ruth. She has to go to a different guy. And because of the different guy, produces David. That's why they're talking about him. That's why they're talking about her. And Tamar. She's not a prostitute. She's trying to get Utah, to obey the law of marriage. And then it's the 33rd day from Passover. 33 is the honorary rank of the Scottish rites that were infiltrated by the Illuminati, that Joseph Smith Sr. protected William Morgan and took the responsibility to get the Book of Mormon out and published to warn about the threat to America in the latter days. And then it's the 18th of the 33rd day, which 6 plus 6 plus 6, Lucifer. So the Jews, none of that is symbolized. It's the Illuminati who impose the symbolism over the Jews. So 18 for the Jews is not 666 of Lucifer. That was imposed over by the Illuminati. Nobody wants to understand that. Only denialists prey upon the stupid. So yeah. Oh, look at you, Jasmine. You go, girl. And so yeah, lying at the feet of Boaz. Can you imagine that? Because if the guy rejects her in the singles ward, wow, really? You're gonna deny her, are you? But yeah, this is what the practice would be like if it were to be practiced today. I wish it was, but you kind of need to get to know the woman through dating first, and then and there are too many desperate Mormon women, especially in the older singles ward, who would be doing this in the middle of the chapel at church today, Mother's Day. All the Mormon women would be coming in their 90s and laying them out before certain guys. And so the roses would be given to the guys. You're awesome, Jasmine. So awesome. And he was drunk. He was drunk, just like Noah. Just like others who were drunk. Lot. His daughters got him drunk. Hilarious. Naomi instructs Ruth to meet Boaz, believed to be the closest male relative to Ruth's deceased husband, in the tent after he's gone to bed, and uncover his feet. Jasmine has figured out that feet is not talking about the 10 toes and ankles. There's a woman who does this to Jesus, which is interesting, but let's not go there. We're already over an hour, aren't we? How long was my first video segment until I froze? If sex is in the Bible was mostly for procreation, why does the church have such a problem with sex? Because they want their kingdom back. They know damn well that when you cause problems with sex and sex ed, you get a whole bunch of problems in society that causes an uproar. You get rapes, you get abuse in the marriage, you get all sorts of abominations that go on. Banning of books, banning of women, suppressing women, putting women in bondage, women fighting for their lives and rights in a Me Too movement that gets innocent people locked up and destroyed, destroying their careers and families and such. The church purposely is causing this problem and chaos. When they tell guys they can't masturbate because Jesus is angry. When they tell youth that they can't have feelings for each other until after they pay the prostitution price to get sealed in the temple. All this is designed to destroy the United States of America. That's what MAGA is doing, that's what Islam is doing, that's what our political parties are doing. To destroy, to cause so much chaos, to get the people to be so riled up that they literally take a gun and go into a pizza parlor looking for a basement to rescue little girls that are being held captive. To get people to storm the Capitol to decertify the election. To hang Mike Pence. And it's the people that they are trying to trigger this war to destroy America, so that they can claim it wasn't us, but they're the ones who paid and organized and orchestrated it as the puppet masters. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And so this is why the church is so anti-women, anti-sex ed. Because they know of the consequences that will come by those who are obedient, by those who are disobedient, and by those who are fence sitters. They know that women will shame other women, not understanding they're shaming themselves too. They'll demand that other people have their agency taken from them. It's a big clue. It's from Lucifer. Mormons have exclusive knowledge on that. And so, yeah, that's why. They want their kingdom back, and they cannot get it back unless they destroy the United States of America. Because the United States is not giving over the keys. There you go. Even more so, if they say it is not a good thing, then why have rape victims have their children? Because they've got to become priesthood leaders. This is a sad reality, too. This is why a lot of guys get away with their rapes and criminal activity, is because they've got connections and they've got to go on a mission. That's what I'm referring to with becoming a priesthood authority. And in the news, yesterday or the day before, probably Friday, maybe could have been, I saw it on Saturday, but the judge in a case, against a guy who had locked up his girlfriend in a storage unit, and then the storage unit burned. She died in the fire. If she wasn't already, well, I don't think she was, well, she was in the storage unit for a long time too. He purposely took away her liberty by locking her up in a storage unit. And then she was murdered, taking away her life by extension of her locked up in the storage unit. He gets responsible for the murder of burning. Any crimes that are committed after the fact, regardless of whether you actually caused the fire or not, becomes your penalty because you locked her up. But the judge has determined he's not going to go to trial. He will not be punished for her murder. She gets no justice. Most likely, if we were to find out who the guy is, we'd understand why. That is the sad reality of Mormons in Utah. Because anywhere else, he'd get the electric chair. He'd be fried. But yeah, again, this whole, in the nation, the conservative party is anti-abortion. They're anti-single mothers. They want to take away the rape babies from the single mothers. And so they purposely punish single mothers, forcing them to have the baby in the first place, and then they financially punish them after they have the forced abortion. This conservative party is evil, just like the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, who do the same thing. They don't want the baby to be taken care of unless it's given to a good religious family to replace the evil Korahor parents. Not the rapist, obviously, because he's a model citizen, victim. Oh, dear God. And so, yeah, this is why they're doing all this, women. They banned Roe v. Wade, overturning the 14th Amendment, Section 1, to overthrow the government. Our Supreme Court justices are overthrowing the government. And so thus, Trump, Section 3, not supposed to be running for president, supposed to be in prison, death penalty for sedition. Nope. He's getting away with his crimes. He's going to run for president and destroy America. Whether he wins or loses, America will be destroyed this year. This is what nobody wants to get. This is what evil people are trying to argue away from, to try to get me to go down their rabbit holes of nonsense and absurdity, of denialism and lies, so that America can be destroyed. And so James is reading Leviticus. So cute. She has to explain that it's a Torah book. So cute, Jasmine. About sex. Yep. And you need to understand the time period. You need to understand the culture in which this is being written. Roman period of time. family and how to live. I mean, aren't us girls supposed to just make 28 babies a month in the celestial kingdom? Isn't it 28 days or 28 babies in a day? Because it's a 28-hour cycle. Hold up. If that is the case, I think I would just stay terrestrial or lower. Yeah, this is the church. They have no authority. They cannot exalt you. And so, yeah, it's a trap to get you to think that you're not worthy enough, and so you settle for lesser standards and values, and thus you get STDs and are punished, and then you go crawling back to the church. I'm so sorry, I've learned that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is true from drinking Mountain Dew, and oh, please take me back. I promise I won't drink Mountain Dew anymore. I won't increase the boob size. It's a trap. And Expo Nevermos don't get this trap. And I've seen it too many times because the Saints Unscripted people do it. Video after video, when they find an expo who comes back to church, they get them on their channel to say, yeah, church is true. And expos do it also with those who leave. You didn't leave for the right reasons. You left because you heard about one or a few of these, but you didn't put it all together and go, this can't be true. Something's not right here. You didn't do what Jasmine's doing. And so, yes, because of that, you'll eventually get worn down, and the church will look better and better, and before you know it, boom, you're back in the church paying them money. And going around talking like you're some kind of a zombie creature of Kool-Aid drinking. So, yeah. Why would you wait, Jasmine? You're so adorable. Get those babies now. They'd be so cute. You know they'd be cute. Don't you want a larger breast size? You're doing the spiritual increasing boobs. Let's get the physical going. If that is the case, I think I would just stay true. So awesome. Good job, Jasmine. And so, yeah, that's why Ruth is the evil sun god name, is because of the pattern. Judith is the one that Esau marries after he loses his birthright and blessing, or right before he loses his birthright and blessing. I think he marries her, and then let's find out. Judith. Genesis 26, yeah, it is before he loses his birthright and blessing. And so this explains why he's losing his birthright and blessing in their minds. You know, Judith was a good daughter of Beri the Hittite, but the Hittites are the great and abominable church in the story. And so Judith is a member of the great and abominable church. This is actually the Ammon's Christ, or his mother's name, Judith. And so, yes, Mother's Day, continue with the theme. And his son, through the second wife, is called Ra, which is weird. Notice also Jethro, the father of Moses' second wife. Yeah, second wife. Keturah was a third wife, concubine of Jethro's daughter. And so we know him as Jethro, but there's also a part where the Jewish author puts in Ruel, Ra, the god Ra. Jethro is the god Ra, and his daughter is the daughter of Ra, and Moses marries her. This is the pattern. Women of the great and abominable church. And so if we were to go back to Ruth, she's a Moabite. Right? Certain man of Bethlehem, Judah, a Moabite, knew his wife, had 2 sons. And there was a man of the God King, and his name of his wife was Naomi. And had 2 sons. And the husband died, was Ruth. She's of Moab. And then they took them wives of the women of Moab. One was Orpah. The name of the other was Ruth. Okay. So God King and Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died, and she was left and her 2 sons, and they took them wives of the women of Moab. And so if we went to the map, see, the Moabites opposed the Israelite invasion of Canaan. It is a great and abominable church. Ruth, with the evil God King name, Son King name, is of the great and abominable church. The Moabites, and I think, aren't the Moabites from Lot's wife? That would be interesting. Now we gotta find Heron, son's Heron, Sarai. Sodom and Gomorrah. Before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, and plain of Jordan. Pursued him until Dan. There's the men in 19. And again, you see the thing where Lot tries to give the men the daughters to practice the temple ritual because they're wanting to do it according to the Roman period time custom of male prostitution. Take their wife and 2 daughters and leave. The sun was risen upon the earth when Lot entered Zoar. Should I keep? I'm trying to find my answers, and I'm just making this video longer. Genesis 19:23. I'm curious. Yep. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of sons involved in here. Hilarious. Hilarious. Okay, where were we? She became a pillar of salt. Great Salt Lake. Father is old. Let us lie with him, that we may know him, that we may preserve seed. Get our boobs bigger. Moab, yep. I thought that was the case. They're from the incestuous relationship. And thus they oppose 1938. Benami 38. Ammon, yeah. Sons of Ammon. Yep. Moab and sons of Ammon. Yep, yep, yep. Yep, 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 yep. And so, yeah. Fascinating. All ties in together. Because they're talking about Ruth, they're referring to Genesis. So fascinating. But it's through Moab, not through Ammon. Notice that. Yep, yep, yep. Yep, yep, yep. Yep, yep, yep. So, yeah, see, this is what I wanted to do from the beginning, before I knew that we were in the latter days, is just go over the scriptures, and, child faith wants me to do it. But I can't do this on a more common basis until we have Zion, and Mormons have chosen not to have Zion, and so thus I cannot do this. So here I am trying to save Mormons, and they're not even listening. Fascinating, Jasmine. You're awesome. Okay, we're done.